Why does a moth fly into the fire? Look at your past 3 relationships. Really look at them. Take away their names, take away their faces, take away their jobs and the cities they lived in. Look only at how they made you feel. Look at the arguments you had at 2 a.m. Look at the exact way they abandoned you, disrespected you, or made you feel invisible. Notice anything strange? They are the exact same person. You tell your friends that you have terrible luck. You tell yourself that the dating pool is toxic. You look up at the sky and ask the universe why you keep attracting narcissists, liars, or people who are emotionally unavailable. But I am going to tell you a brutal truth today. A truth that most people will spend their entire lives running away from. You are not unlucky. The universe is not punishing you. You are hunting for these people. Your conscious mind wants a healthy, loving relationship, but your subconscious is hunting for a very specific demon. And it is doing it on purpose. Hit subscribe and let's start. Welcome to the Ghost in the Machine. To understand why you keep repeating the same tragic love story, we have to look at how your brain is programmed. When you are a child, your brain is a blank machine. It is waiting for the world to write its code. And the people who write that code are your caregivers, your parents, your family, the environment you grew up in. They teach you what love is supposed to feel like. If you grew up in a home that was warm, consistent, and safe, your brain wrote a very simple code. Love equals peace. But what if you didn't? What if love in your childhood meant screaming matches? What if love meant you had to be perfectly quiet so you wouldn't make anyone angry? What if love was conditional, only given to you when you got good grades and taken away when you made a mistake? What if love meant watching someone leave and waiting by the window for them to come back? If that was your environment, your machine wrote a very different code. It wrote, love equals anxiety. Love equals chaos. Love equals begging to be seen. Fast forward 20 years. You are an adult. You walk into a room filled with 100 different people. There are kind people in that room. There are stable, boring, healthy people who would treat you with respect. But you don't look at them. You don't even notice them. They are invisible to you. Instead, your eyes lock onto one specific person across the room. You feel a sudden rush of electricity in your chest. Your heart beats faster. You call it the spark. You call it love at first sight. Let me tell you what that spark actually is. It is not romance. It is your nervous system recognizing a familiar trauma. Your subconscious mind looked across the room, scanned 100 faces, and found the one person who has the exact same emotional dysfunction as the people who raised you. Your brain says, I recognize this poison. This feels like home. Psychologists call this repetition compulsion. It is the human mind's tragic attempt to fix the past by repeating it in the present. Think about it like a movie where the ending broke your heart. As a child, you were powerless. You couldn't fix your parents' marriage. You couldn't make your father stay. You couldn't make your mother emotionally available. You lost that game. So, as an adult, your subconscious creates a twisted plan. It says, if I can find someone today who is just as broken, just as distant, or just as angry as my parent was, and if I can love them hard enough to make them change, then I will finally win. I will finally prove that I am worthy of love. You are trying to rewrite a tragedy. You are dating a ghost from your past, wearing the face of a stranger. And that is why you stay when they treat you badly. That is why you don't walk away when they ignore your texts for 3 days. That is why you try to fix them. Because walking away from them feels like giving up on that little child inside of you who is still waiting to be loved. But here is the most terrifying part of the ghost in the machine. What happens when a truly healthy person tries to love you? What happens when you meet someone who texts back immediately, who communicates openly, who doesn't play games, and who actually respects your boundaries? You sabotage it. You will say they are boring. You will say there is no chemistry. You will feel a deep, uncomfortable, skin-crawling sensation, and you will find a ridiculous excuse to push them away. Do you know why? Because peace feels like a threat to a nervous system that is addicted to war. When your entire life has been built on chaos, predictability feels terrifying. When a healthy person is just simply nice to you, your corrupted code panics. It says, wait, there's no screaming? There's no chasing? This must be a trap. I have to get out of here. You are literally allergic to healthy love. So, how do you break the cycle? How do you stop the machine from playing the same tragic code over and over again? It is the hardest work you will ever do, and it hurts. First, you have to stop blaming your exes. Yes, they may have been terrible people, but you gave them the key to your house. You invited the demon in because it knocked on the door with a familiar rhythm. Take responsibility for your broken radar. Second, you have to redefine what the spark means. For you, intense, immediate chemistry is no longer a green light. It is a massive, flashing red stop sign. If you meet someone and within 3 days you feel like you've known them your entire life, run. If you feel an obsessive need to be around them, run. That is not your soulmate. That is your symptom. Healthy love does not start with a spark. It starts with a slow, quiet build. It starts with mutual respect. You have to teach your body to endure the boredom of a safe relationship. You have to sit in the quiet room with a good person and train your brain not to panic. You have to learn that love does not require you to bleed to prove your worth. And finally, you have to grieve. You have to accept the hardest truth of all. You cannot change the past. You will never get the childhood you deserved. You will never get the apology from the people who failed you when you were small. No amount of loving a toxic partner today will ever go back in time and save that little version of you. The movie is over. The credits have rolled. It is time to leave the theater. Stop looking for a project. Stop looking for a familiar poison. The ghosts of your past will only haunt you for as long as you keep setting a place for them at your dinner table. Starve the ghost. Break the machine. Choose peace, even when it terrifies you. But let me warn you about what happens the day after you choose peace. Choosing peace sounds beautiful in theory, but in practice, it feels like a withdrawal, because that is exactly what it is. When you finally block the number, when you pack your bags, when you look at the person who has been giving you breadcrumbs of affection and say, "No more," your body will go into shock. You have been running on cortisol and adrenaline for years. You have been living in a state of constant emotional emergency. When that emergency suddenly stops, the silence will feel deafening. Your brain, addicted to the highs and lows of the toxic cycle, will begin to panic. It will try to convince you that the silence means something is wrong. It will tempt you to reach out just to check on them. It will tell you that maybe you overreacted. It will replay the 3 good memories you had together and conveniently erase the 300 bad ones. You will feel a physical craving for the chaos, just like an addict craving a drug. In those moments, you must understand that your mind is lying to you. You are not missing them. You are missing the chemical rush of the cycle. You are missing the fleeting, intoxicating relief that comes right after a massive argument when they finally hold you and apologize. Do not confuse the cessation of pain with the presence of love. Someone handing you an ice pack after they are the one who punched you is not romance. When you break the machine, you are going to face a massive void in your life. You have spent months, maybe years, treating someone else's emotional instability as your full-time job. You were the therapist, the crisis manager, the punching bag, and the savior. Now, suddenly, you are unemployed. And this terrifies you. Because if you are no longer fixing someone else's broken pieces, you are finally going to have to look at your own. This is the real reason we stay in toxic relationships. It is the ultimate distraction. As long as you are obsessing over why they didn't text you back, or how to stop them from being angry, or how to cure their depression, you do not have to face your own emptiness. You use their chaos to drown out your own inner demons. You call yourself an empath. You wear your ability to feel everyone else's pain as a badge of honor. But I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Is it really empathy? Or is it hypervigilance? When you grow up in a volatile environment, you learn to read the microscopic shifts in other people's moods just to survive. You learn to anticipate an explosion before it happens. You became an expert in everyone else's emotions because it was the only way to keep yourself safe. You are not an empath. You are a trauma response dressed up as a savior.